The Galactic Academy's cafeteria hummed with the usual cacophony of 100 different species trying to coexist. Translators buzzed, processing everything from the clicking mandibles of the Kickstar to the melodic whistles of the cerulean delegates. But today, the noise had shifted. It had taken on an uglier tone. Zerakai sat alone at the corner table, her violet skin mottled with the raised silvery scars that traced across her face and down her neck like lightning frozen in flesh. They were the mark of survival, evidence that she had endured the plasma fires of the Siege of Terra when she was only 6 cycles old. Her people, the Velari, wore such scars with quiet dignity. But here, in this place where 1,000 cultures collided, dignity meant nothing against cruelty. Look at the damaged goods, sneered a Thraxian youth, his crystalline exoskeleton glinting under the fluorescent lights. His companions, a group of century nobles and a few Chickstar warriors, laughed in their respective pitches. No wonder her kind lost the war, another added. Can't even keep their civilians intact. Zerakai's 3-fingered hands trembled as she gripped her meal tray. She had heard worse. The Velari were a conquered people now, their homeworld reduced to a protectorate under Thraxian oversight. Coming to the academy had been her mother's dying wish, a chance to prove that the Velari still had worth, still had brilliance to offer the galaxy. But brilliance, she was learning, was easily overshadowed by appearance. She kept her eyes down, focused on the bioluminescent algae paste that served as her lunch. Just finish eating. Just get through today. Hey, Scarface. The Thraxian had moved closer, emboldened by his audience. Maybe you should wear a mask. You're making people lose their appetite. The cafeteria's noise dimmed. Species that had been minding their own business now turned to watch. Some looked uncomfortable, most looked away. That's when Marcus Webb stood up. The human had been sitting 3 tables over with his own species mates, but now he was walking towards Zerakai with purposeful strides. Humans were still relatively new to the galactic community, only 70 years since first contact, and they had a reputation, unpredictable, emotional, dangerous when provoked. The Thraxian stepped back instinctively as Marcus approached, but the human barely glanced at him. Marcus stopped directly in front of Zerakai's table. She looked up, her large amber eyes wide with confusion and something that might have been fear. Humans had fought in the Velari conflict as mercenaries on both sides. She didn't know what to expect. "Hi," Marcus said simply, his voice steady. "I'm Marcus. Can I sit with you?" Zerakai blinked, her translator struggling to process the gentleness in his tone against the tension in the room. Yes, it came out as a question." Marcus sat down across from her, setting his own tray on the table. Then he did something that made the entire cafeteria fall silent. He smiled at her, not with pity, not with that awful performative kindness she'd seen from the academy counselors, but with genuine warmth, the kind that crinkled the corners of his eyes. "Those scars," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "They're beautiful." The Thraxian scoffed humans always. "So they tell a story," Marcus continued, ignoring the interruption. "My grandfather had scars like that. He got them pulling children out of a burning building back on Earth. He wore them like medals." Marcus leaned forward slightly. "Survival is beautiful. Strength is beautiful." "You're beautiful," Zerakai's breath caught. In her entire time at the academy, in the entire year since she'd left the refugee camps, Noon had said anything like that to her. Marcus stood up then and walked around the table. The cafeteria held its collective breath. He knelt beside her chair, bringing himself to her eye level. "May I?" he asked softly, gesturing toward her face. Zerakai didn't trust her voice, so she nodded. Gently, with a reverence that seemed to come from somewhere deep in human nature, Marcus leaned forward and pressed his lips to the largest scar on her cheek. Then another on her forehead, and one more on the silvered tissue that traced down to her jaw. It was the human custom called kissing, a gesture Zerakai had read about but never experienced. It was supposed to convey affection, respect, love. When Marcus pulled back, there were tears streaming down Zerakai's face. But she was smiling, truly smiling, for the first time in months. "Anyone," Marcus said, standing and turning to address the room, "who thinks these scars are anything other than a testament to her courage can deal with. And trust me," his voice took on an edge, "you don't want that." It was a well-known fact that humans, pound for pound, were among the most physically formidable species in the galaxy. Their Death World origin had made them dense with muscle, quick-tonguer, and frighteningly difficult to kill. The Thraxian and his friends suddenly found other places to be. But something else happened, too. A Century girl stood up and walked over, setting her tray down at their table. "Can I join you?" Then a quick star, then a few others from species Zerakai didn't even recognize. Within minutes, her lonely corner table had become the most crowded spot in the cafeteria. Marcus caught her eye and winked. "See, you just needed someone to break these." As the conversation flowed around her, awkward at first, then gradually more natural, Zerakai realized something profound. The galaxy was vast and often cruel, but it also contained moments like this, beings like Marcus who understood that beauty wasn't about perfection. It was about survival, about stories written in flesh and bone, about the courage to keep going when everything said to give up. She touched the scar on her cheek where Marcus had kissed it. And for the first time since the fire saw Vetera, she didn't feel broken. She felt seen.